Evening, everyone. Welcome back to the blindpress YouTube channel and the strange coffee stream at night phenomenon that we are having for the next little while. And it is Wednesday, and tonight, since we weren't able to do Wednesdays with Skep last week, we're doing Wednesdays with Skep this week. Hello, Skep.
Hey, Blind Press, nice to be here tonight. It's kind of fun doing this in the middle of the night with you. I'm used to the sun coming through my window and feeling the warm rays of sunshine, and we are down to it. It's absolutely freezing down here. It's like 40 degrees.
Oh man, that is cold for where you
Oh,
are.
oh my God. So we're dying down here. We actually got below 32 degrees the other day, 0 degrees Celsius. Hard to believe. And we are just wimps. We're fine with the heat, but we're terrified of cold in Texas. We hate that stuff and it kills all our plants. So anyway, uh, trying to um, distract myself from
Yeah.
the nonsense, the complete and utter nonsense that is going on with my government. It's interesting to see so many politicians acting like such complete lunatics.
Yeah.
Acting, it's strange to see some of the behavior and what passes for reality in terms of what is reported by the mainstream media is absolutely mind blowing. I mean, they really have taken such license with what they claim. Honestly, can't tell what the facts are.
Yeah.
If they have tape and things you can look at, physical evidence behind something that supports their narrative, you can kind of have some confidence in it. But if it's something that cuts against their narrative, they either don't report it or they obfuscate it so badly that it doesn't even make sense. And Fox does this seemingly, I think, less than the others, but they do it to a certain extent toward the right. But the others are so far left. CNN and MSNBC are indistinguishable now.
Yeah.
They're
They,
just
they really are.
completely cut to the left. So that's going on, and now we have the Democrats in Congress with the full throated cheering of the mainstream media
Yeah.
getting together and saying, we're going to put together lists of people who voted for Trump, who supported Trump, who tweeted in favor of Trump, who tweeted conservative sentiments. And it is quickly becoming uh, a path to social pariahhood to maintain anything other than the liberal as far as what you say publicly. If you say publicly that I'm a conservative and I support President Trump or something like that, or something like I don't think Trump did that bad a job, or uh, anything other than full throated denunciation, you're treated like a Communist Party member in 1958 in Soviet Union who said that they like capitalism.
Yep.
You absolutely are unpersoned, and there are some in the Democrat Party who are going around saying, we have to get a list of people who support Trump, the people who organize for him, people in the party, and
That's
have them
terrifying.
shot for treason. They're guilty of treason. We're going to have summary executions. That seems a little bit like an overreaction to me.
I would agree with you. I think that, and this is what's getting scary about having opinions now,
You can't have them
because
publicly. And
no, you can't.
young kids are ruining themselves. They can't even get an interview because somebody will come out, oh no, I've got a tweet from this guy. And he said he thinks all lives matter. That's all you have to say. If you tweet out all lives matter, you literally cannot get a job in some parts of the country.
Yeah.
So
It's
we're in crazy time.
and that's honestly one of the reasons why the videos I made on TikTok about crutches and spice came down, because at this point in time, like and Pincalo pointed out, like he was pointing out to me, he's like, this is not the time to be calling out obvious race baiting shit. You're playing with fire, and you're gonna get burned.
He was
And
him speaking to you,
yeah, and
and
he's not wrong.
well, I mean, you have to stay true to
Yes,
yourself and obviously your brand to an
I
extent.
do, but at the same time,
You also have
I
to be prudent.
shouldn't go looking for.
No, no,
And she is like
she is trouble, man.
in her comments, she actually says, I prefer to be like this and shock people.
Yeah,
So she does this for shock value. She doesn't want an actual conversation. She
no,
doesn't want actual discourse.
none of these
She
people do.
no.
They have their point of view, and they don't want it disturbed with facts or logic or anything else. They don't want to do the hard work of coming to compromise conclusions or understanding any point of view that is not their own. I
It
think
is
that pretty much describes Crushes and Spice to a
yeah.
T. Actually, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah. It's hard to have opinions these days. Says somebody in chat. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. It is.
yeah.
Everyone
Robbie
kind.
Reegs. Hi, Robbie. Nice to meet you.
Welcome to the stream.
Yeah. See, Spittle Buggies is here in addition to Wikipedia snippets. So, hi guys, love to have you aboard here this evening on the Blind Press Express. So, you had said that there was something going on in your province. There's
Yes.
oddness or strangeness. What's going on?
So, as of tonight at midnight, our province is declaring a state of emergency
What now?
over COVID, and we are going into further lockdown, more lockdown restrictions. You are basically the premier has basically said you are to stay home unless you need groceries or to go to the doctor or to go to work if you're essential. Um,
And that, as they say, is that.
yeah, and apparently this is lasting for 28 days. Um, schools,
Canada's going to get into trouble over this.
well, this is the problem that the federal conservatives keep saying is that you can't keep making people not work.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you're giving out payments and stuff, but that's not the end all be all for working. Working provides a feeling of self-worth. Working provides mental health benefits
Yeah.
that not working doesn't.
Yep. And pretty
um
soon, if you just keep handing out money, you'll be handing out wallpaper.
yeah.
It won't be money anymore. It won't be worth anything anymore. It'll be like the Weimar Republic in Germany.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, welcome to the Doom and Gloom stream, everybody. Hope you're enjoying. Hope you're having a great time here with Blinds and Skep Talk. It's I think people are uh, doing even more escaping, if that's possible, into things like games and entertainment of every sort
Yeah.
online. Can you imagine if we did not have online
Oh god.
diversions? People having to read books, people having to talk to one another and make conversation or,
Well, the amount of people that are going and starting like online chat groups now
yeah,
is
yep,
huge.
yep,
Like WhatsApp group chats or Facebook group chats or um, TikTok just made this thing where if you have 5,000 followers or more, you can go live with two people.
hmm,
So, and then you can go live with two people on Instagram. Like there's just so many ways of communicating to each other now online.
Yes. I think part of what's happening is this is a transitional phase right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people will look back at what we're doing now and say, yeah, people used to get on, they would point their cameras at themselves and have these giant telephone conversations in front of other people.
Yeah.
And they did that for entertainment. You're kidding me. That never happened. No,
Yeah,
really.
right.
Serious.
And people used to get happy with the more people watching their phone conversations.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
It was like a
it
contest.
was a contest. Yep.
See who had the most people. I swear. Uh, and
Aliens are probably looking at us going, "What the fuck is wrong with this species?"
Zorglon, come over here. Look at the monitor. Check out what these humans are doing. I always have this what I call the alien eye view of our world and
Yeah.
our countries and so forth. And they've got. Sometimes I think that God created human beings just for the viewing,
Mm-hmm.
just to watch the drama, just to have an almost infinite number of channels. He can just switch his little God monitor, his little God
Yeah.
TV to, and it's like days of our lives all over the
Yep.
world constantly.
24-hour soap opera.
Like sand through the hourglass, these are the days of our lives. And that was the old motto of the show, Days of Our Lives, the old soap opera. That's what I was quoting. So, anyway,
Oh, it's Wikipedia snippet says, I remember when the Simpsons episode where they stopped playing Itchy and Scratchy and all the kids went out, got bored of TV and went outside and played. Yeah.
went outside and played. Can you imagine such a thing? It
Hello,
kind of
Costin.
it kind of makes me sad these days too, because I go out. My big deal is to go out and go for a walk. That's how I work out. I go and like walk like 4 miles. It's good. It's a good sized walk. It
Yeah.
takes me about an hour. And you see somebody coming down the street, and you say, I got a plan to get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got to have 12 feet, and 6 for me, 6 for him,
Yep.
and just for extra safety. And everybody is very cooperative about that, but it makes me kind of sad in a way because I always like saying hello to people.
Right? It's and doing this distance learning stuff right now with the oldest guy. Like he doesn't want to go outside right now because he can't play with his friends.
Right. Yes. It's, yeah, exactly.
and
Yeah.
and he's sad because the 3-year-old still gets to go to daycare. They remained open, thankfully, but it's sad for the 6-year-old because 3-year-old at least gets to go see his friends.
Yeah.
And I
And
mean, yeah, he gets to see
well,
his friends over Google Meet, but it's not the same thing.
Logan's still in daycare, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but he goes to school next year. He
He
goes
goes to
to kindergarten
pre-K,
or
or
JK as they
yeah,
call it.
junior kindergarten. So interesting. I it's odd what you remember. I actually remember kindergarten. I I remember it like it was yesterday. I have a funny kind of memory. There are spots in my memory where I can remember that certain particular moments, and it's like it was yesterday.
Mm.
And one of them was making this handprint in wet clay when I was in kindergarten. And I remember thinking, I better do this right and do it very carefully. And I was left-handed, so I wanted to do it with my left hand. And I am left-handed, so I wanted to do it with my left hand. I made this little left-handed handprint
Aw.
for my mom, and that was a big deal. I still have that silly thing.
My grandmother still has the pinch pot I made.
Oh my God. Pinch pot. I know exactly what that is too. That's great.
Yeah, well, she still has the pinch pot with my initials in the bottom.
Yeah. 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 That's that. It's cool. It's interesting to see something that was made in, what was that, 1957? I think it has the date on the back. I should get up and look at it. But 1957, boy, if I had known then what I know now, I would have had a very interesting life. I had a very interesting life as it was, though. I've gotten to do a lot of different things. I have no complaints. So yeah, now we live in interesting
Oh
times.
my God, do we ever? And it's crazy to see that all the things that the left and everything calls a conspiracy theory, called a conspiracy theory for the last 4 years. It's
Yeah,
happening. It's happening right now. Everyone's like, the left was like, oh, the Democrats don't want to abolish the electrical. I'm
the
so used to everyone
electrical.
call it.
Yeah,
I'm so used to everyone jokingly call it the electrical college. I did it on purpose
I
by
I just
accident.
yeah, I just
But
I call it the electrical college just in honor of George W. Bush.
it, but it's like
Electrical college.
they've said, for the full 4 years, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. The Democrats don't want to get rid of
Yes, they
the
do want to get
electoral
rid of it.
college,
They sure
and
do.
and sure enough, there they go. Oh, it's a conspiracy theory. They don't want to impeach Trump a second time. Sure enough,
Yeah.
they're impeaching him. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. They don't want to ban Trump off Twitter. Oh, what just happened last week?
Yeah, it's straight out of Rules for Radicals. Do do the thing that you accuse your opponents of. Do that in spades.
And
They
now,
do it all the time.
our conservative, the leader of the opposition, Aaron O'Toole,
Yeah.
replied. He on Parlor replied, just one reply to Tommy Robinson, and now he's chatting with Nazis.
Chatting with Nazis. Jeez, it's so
Canada's
extreme.
conservative leader chatting with Nazis. Yeah, okay.
They'll do this until they find it doesn't work. I'm hoping that America and Canada, for that matter, will get tired of this extremism and it will stop working. It won't have the effect on the proletariat that it currently has. Boy, this is tiresome going through this right now.
Yeah.
Just absolutely tiresome. An interesting thing that's going to come out of this, you can say you heard it here first, is that the Republican Party is done.
Yeah.
It will be around in as a losing party, I think, for between 10 and 20 more years. That's how long it will take to formally die. But at the end of probably about 3 Senate cycles, 18 years from now, that'll be enough to where people realize that the Republicans are no longer a viable force.
Do you
And
think that a new party will take its place, or do you think the Democrats
yes,
will just usurp the power?
it'll be the new party that will take their place will be the Democrats. The Democrat will become a single party country. The Democrats are basically have built the Communist Party, and they did this by taking over the mechanisms of voting. Now that they control that, they will never lose another presidential election. Whatever they need, they're simply so well organized right now, and so much better organized than the Republicans ever were, that they'll go out and they'll simply get the votes that they need to win the election. The more mysterious mail-in ballots that defy all statistics, this statistical analysis will come in, and they will. They'll simply have all the votes they ever need in the right places, and they'll try and keep it believable but decisive. just like they did here. This was a prototype election. They're going to cookie cut this and do it election after election. And they're doing this with the willing cooperation of the mainstream media, because the mainstream media wants them to win. Since they want them to win, they will cover for them and will not cover anything saying that there's any realistic view that something fishy is going on. I promise not to bore you with a bunch of math, but it's important enough. It's important enough. I just want to call this out. This happened in Wisconsin. They received one group of votes from one particular part of Wisconsin that they said were all mail-in ballots.
Okay.
It was 179,000 votes.
Okay.
And only 5,000 of those votes were for Trump. Now, in Watts and Oakland and San Francisco and Los Angeles, in downtown Atlanta, Detroit, in those ultimately pro-Democrat strongholds, the ratio never runs more than 80-20.
Okay.
Ever. Never happens. So let's just, and if you take a national average, the standard deviation from minimum to maximum level of victory by one party over another is probably the standard deviation is probably 7 or 8% at most. Well, no. I'm sorry. The standard deviation is probably about 3 or 4%.
Okay.
Probably 4%. We'll call it. We'll say 5%. Make the math easy. So that standard deviation is 5%. This standard deviation of nearly 200,000 votes and only 5,000 of the votes being for Trump. Okay.
That's a big difference. Like
that is the difference.
But...
The difference between that and the standard deviation was more than 5 standard deviations.
Holy shit.
Now, when you see a difference in any statistic about anything, if you see a variance of 1 standard deviation, you say, I think we can reject the null hypothesis, is what they call it, which means that there's something going on that affected things, because for there to be something more than 1 standard deviation in this kind of statistical data, I know that it has to have been affected by something other than random events.
Right.
So that's 1 standard deviation. If you get 2 standard deviations, you say absolutely reject the null hypothesis, virtually 100% chance that something is going on to affect the statistics. 3 standard deviations rarely ever occurs in any statistical set, ever, unless you're trying to generate it. 4 is right out. And 5 is a mathematical anomaly that effectively never, ever, ever happens unless you make that happen. Unless you say, I'm going to make something that is 5 standard deviations different, and you artificially do that. This was 5.5 standard deviations is what I calculated. I ran those numbers several times. It's an easy calculation to do. I've had graduate statistics. I know exactly how this works. There is no way that tranche of votes represents a naturally occurring set of votes from the United States. Period. Dot.
You couldn't get it if you tried.
You couldn't get it if you tried. If you went to downtown Los Angeles, you would not get that. You would not get within 4 standard deviations of what they produced.
That's crazy.
So, and the Democrats just say, mathematician, shut up. And the mainstream media blows you off. Nothing is ever looked into. And the courts say, well, we don't want to look at it. It's too late. They said, well, it's been submitted too late. Well, it's the day after the election. Too bad you waited too long.
Mm.
And they simply blew it off because they didn't want to. The courts were completely cowardly about it, and they should have looked at it. They should have looked into it, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Had they looked into it, they would have had to have listened to testimony from expert witnesses that say, this is how nature works, and this is unnatural. Something happened here.
Yeah.
And then when you start, maybe if they started investigating, they would have to go vote by vote. It would be very, very expensive and time-consuming process. Might even be impractical, and that's what the Democrats are counting on. There were some things that went on in this election that simply were wrong. They were bad and they were wrong. And it just infuriates me that they were not examined, but they weren't. And then people are saying, well, the courts exonerated him. No, the courts didn't. The courts refused to look at him. And like tonight, we had somebody arrested in San Antonio.
Really?
For voter fraud.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you all about this. San Antonio, Texas, a woman has been arrested in connection to alleged election fraud and illegal voting, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton announced Wednesday. According to Paxton, Rachel Rodriguez of San Antonio was exposed in a Project Veritas video ahead of the 2020 election regarding vote harvesting and acknowledged what she was doing was illegal. Rodriguez is accused of election fraud, illegal voting, unlawfully assisting people voting by mail, and unlawfully possessing an official ballot. According to Paxton, she could face up to 20 years in prison if she is convicted.
Wow. But there was no voter fraud at all.
No.
None.
No.
Whatsoever.
No, absolutely not. And they will tell you, well, this woman is innocent until she's proven guilty, and it's only one person. Maybe she helped one person with one ballot one time. That's nothing, and that's not true. She was laughing about it. I saw the video. I actually saw the Project Veritas video. She's bragging about doing it. They're saying, well, isn't this illegal? And she says, yeah, it is. Who cares? It doesn't matter.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she's absolutely unrepentant about it.
I can't believe like this is happening. Like I never thought that I would see this much upheaval.
Yeah, me either.
In my lifetime, like I didn't think it would like and I often preach about how we should look to our own governments first before we look to other governments. But I never thought that it would hit this close.
Yeah.
Like you often hear about this type of political upheaval, like in third world countries,
hellholes, shitholes,
and now it's happening right next door.
Yeah,
and it's also kind of happening here, and even the Conservative Party isn't really going to do very much. The only party that really might do anything is still a relatively small party called, with a horrible name, the People's Party of Canada. How communist does that sound?
Are you kidding me?
But it's and Maxime Vernier, I have a bit of an issue with because
who is that?
Maxime Vernier is the leader of the People's Party of Canada.
Okay, I got you.
But he bounced from party to party. Like he was in the Liberal Party in the 90s. He was in the Conservative Party in the early 2000s. He kind of bounces, like he bounced from party to party before he made his own. So it's hard to tell where his
loyalties lie or his convictions
lie. But it's just and then you get guys in the Conservative Party like Pierre Poilievre who are really good speakers and really have good valid points to make, and you almost want him to be the leader of the opposition other than not Aaron O'Toole, because he's much less. Aaron O'Toole is very soft spoken. And that's not what we need right now. We
Yeah.
need a hard hitter who is doing what Polyev is doing and going after the party ideas,
Yes.
not after specific people. He's not attacking personal character, he's attacking party values, which is a it is much better to
Hmm.
do than attacking, because Canadians don't like that. We don't like when an election cycle happens, a lot of Canadians go, "Oh great, here comes the mudslinging." Right? We don't like, in our politics, we don't like character attack. It leaves a bad taste in our mouths, and we tend not to vote for the party who's doing most of that.
Okay. That makes sense. That that jives with the my perception of the Canadian personality.
Yeah, we do not appreciate character assassination. We would much rather hear what plan you have for fixing the government's issues, and we would much prefer straight answers, which is why we get so frustrated with the liberal governments, because they give us all these promises and they never follow through. And I'm not saying conservative governments have been any better, but it we tend to vote for the person who seems to have an actual plan.
Yeah.
We do not like to vote for the guy who goes, "I have no plan, but that other dude's an asshole. You really shouldn't vote for him."
Right. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. So yeah, I was looking through um, just some news items, just to get my mind kind of filled up with stuff for the next few days of streaming. This one somewhat included, and I came across this opinion piece that is in what is this in? This is in uh, oh, it's some news aggregator. I forget which one it is.
Okay.
But anyway, it's the guy talks about. He says the United States of America has devolved into a less than 70 square mile bubble of corruption in Washington D.C. It's filled with egos who think they are smarter and better suited to run the country than anybody else, including our founding fathers. So where did those all those idiots and assholes come from who now inhabit that bubble? For
Love
those
it.
it's, there's an asterisk by that says, "Don't clutch your pearls too hard; you'll hurt yourself."
Mm.
The founding fathers created an elegant system with a constitution that ran just 4,400 words. The checks and balances woven throughout the document provides the means of correcting fault in the exercise of the Constitution that time and more laws would not alleviate. Of special note is the fact that the Constitution created a representative republic.
Yep.
The word democracy, sit down for this, the word democracy does not appear anywhere in the Constitution. A lot of people don't know that. Members of the House of Representatives are elected for just 2 years to prove competence in the office before reelection. The House of Representatives is based on the concept of one person, one vote. The number of House members each state gets is based on the state's population. This short election span frequently resulted in laws hastily crafted by the larger states that could easily overpower the needs and wishes of the smaller states. The laws were sometimes crafted to gain the attention of the media and promote the representative's name rather than solve a problem. Some laws were crafted by lobbyists who bribed politicians to pass them. Before those laws would take effect, the 6 year term U.S. senators, two of those per state, would pass judgment and be the deciding voice. These U.S. senators were elected by the state legislatures. Yes, they were not elected directly originally, who would be more familiar with the competence and character of the person selected as their U.S. Senators than the general public. With a limit of two per state, the smaller states would have equal voice with the larger states. Where did this elegance of control go wrong? It started with the collusion between politicians and the media, specific William Jennings Bryan and William Randolph Hearst of yellow journalism fame.
Mm.
Yes, over 100 years ago, the progressives thought they knew better than the authors of the Constitution and pushed for the passage of the 17th Amendment that changed the election method for U.S. senators.
Mm.
They would now be elected just like the House members by direct vote, the people. According to William Jennings Bryan, too many U.S. senators were being appointed by governors as a result of bribe. That was a huge problem. Similar to Obama's Senate seat sold by Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, sure glad the 17th Amendment prevented that from happening. Anyway,
Right.
more important is the fact that the balance of power between federal and state was shifted by that amendment. Without the inside knowledge of the U.S. senators' real character and honesty, which the state legislators all knew, the citizens were now asked to elect their U.S. senators. Name recognition became more important than ability to do the job. Prime example of how this creates dubious credentialed senators such as Amy Klobuchar, who benefited from her father's name recognition as a columnist and pseudo-journalist. And don't get me started on the Kennedy name. Take a close look at the 100 U.S. senators now in power to run the government. Out of over 300 million citizens, this is the best we can find. We don't get to choose them. It's a political party option at the national level established by the 17th Amendment. We can elect local politicians, but the decision of who will run as U.S. senator is a decision within that bubble of corruption and no longer by the local politicians we know and elect. The local politician bows to the wisdom of the national party and continues to collect money from them in order to get reelected themselves. Another example of that power shift due to the 17th Amendment. The 17th Amendment was such a burst of adrenaline for the progressives in the early 1900s that they continued on a streak to push what we call sin laws.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, prohibition, the 18th Amendment, and the only amendment ever revoked. But it was revoked 2 decades after it was voted in.
Yep.
We doubled the size of the electoral base by giving women the right to vote in 1920. Hard to believe it was only 32 years before I was born women got the right to vote. You'd think that would bring back some level of sanity to the political scene. Instead, they fought hard to become members of the political ruling class, which has devolved into electing female stars like Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi. And AOC, I'd have to throw her in there too. Anyway, so I wanted to just call out some of the stuff. This is how we got here. And when you hear Prospero go on and on about the 17th Amendment and how much she hates it, she's got a point.
Yep.
It changed the way people were elected in our party, and through the election of senators into a backroom party deal making thing. And bribery, oh my God, bribery is the order of the day.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to that.
That's crazy. Like the 17th Amendment was, I guess, the downfall of the U.S.
Well, it certainly was one. It was something that changed the balance of power, and really changed how the most significant of our legislative bodies was elected. Politicians create a herd mentality focused on destroying the credibility of opponent politicians outside that bubble. They create a vicious narrative that's designed to appeal to the lowest common denominator in the herd. I'll give you an example. Orange man bad.
Yep.
That's they use the lamestream media and social media censorship from big tech to block dissenting opinion. And that narrative reached a crescendo, and we called that the 2020 election.
Yep. which is like, and it was, I just couldn't believe that that was a that happened the way that it happened. I I almost felt a little maybe naive that I didn't think it was going to happen that way,
Yes,
which is really not
I
a fun
understand that.
feeling.
No, I understand, but it's more than understandable. Yeah, that it's kind of interesting. I heard that this went down. Somebody was saying the first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers, which is the line from William Shakespeare's
Yep.
Henry VI. Uh, and you know, the person he said that to was kill all the lawyers, and the guy said, "Yeah, William Shakespeare said that." And she said, "Who is William Shakespeare?"
Hmm.
And this is like on a college campus.
That's that's
It's a bit distressing.
terrifying.
Yeah, with this California, it's like the programmer we hired at the software company I used to work for, and we were just chatting, chit chat, and for you know how sometimes I'll bring loopy stuff into the conversation
Yeah.
just for comic effect, and I said I was born during the Truman administration. And this girl goes, "The Truman administration?" I said, "Yeah, Harry Truman." And she got this confused look on her face. And I said, "President Truman." And she said, "So there really was a President Truman?" And I
Oh
said,
my
"Yeah,
god.
yeah, there was." This is a college graduate, University of California, Berkeley,
Let me guess.
with a
She
degree
thought
in.
you meant the Truman Show, right?
That's exactly what she thought. She said there was a president named Truman, like two.
You mean Jim Carrey wasn't the president of the United States? Oh my
Oh my
god.
god, yeah. So that's you know, uh, I really have some concerns about not just the political situation, but the social situation and education in the United States, and I'm sure that Canada is
Oh
not
god.
immune to this either.
They are teaching stuff to
Bullshit.
they're teaching stuff to first graders that we learned in 6th grade.
But
And
they're also teaching crap to them
they I heard so after O Canada was sung yesterday,
with its new words.
it with its new words. Um that don't even rhyme.
Yeah, that don't
Um
make any sense, really.
the secretary, cuz I guess they pipe in the secretary for that part of the programming or the meeting, and then she leaves and the teacher takes over. And I hear this, let me start this morning's announcements by acknowledging that we are situated on native land, and
Is stolen.
it is this is stolen land.
No, she didn't say that.
Oh yes, she did.
She did not
We
say
are
this is stolen land.
we are acknowledging that we are on land that belongs to the Shoshone tribe, and as she mentioned, another tribe, and we must acknowledge and appreciate the fact that we are on their land. And I'm like, wow, okay. Let's instill guilt in the children for something they couldn't possibly have done. That's awesome.
Kill me.
And
Just kill me
they're
now.
teaching, they're t- and the way that they're teaching that, like, they're teaching procedural writing to the first graders,
Hmm.
which is fine. But instead of make calling it something that a 6-year-old can understand, like, we're gonna teach you how to write step by step, right? Or we're gonna teach you how to write a plan. Something, a simple sentence that a 6-year-old can understand. The
Yep.
teachers are like, okay, class, today we're going to work on procedural writing. And
Okay.
I'm like, dude, the 6-year-old can't even say procedural. No
Right.
6-year-old could say procedural. unless they're like stupidly precocious.
Yeah. And
And
they can't grasp the shade of meaning that procedural
no.
indicates. They don't have the experience base to even construct that meaning.
And then in math, they're teaching graphing already and data management. And again, they're calling it data management. They're like, okay, this is our data management and
Good
our
God.
graphing and surveys. And I'm like, why are you using these words that 6-year-olds have no concept of? These are
Yeah.
abstract concepts that even like sixth graders have a little bit of a hard time grasping, but it's at least a
Yeah.
bit more of a, you can
It's a little more accessible.
a little more accessible for an 11-year-old than a 6 year
Sure.
old.
Sure.
And then like Alex already has issues focusing, like sitting still, all that stuff. Like I'm calling the doctor about it. It's, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
um and then for him to be to be given these things with like
Little
there's no
boys
reason.
can kind of be that way. In fairness, I
Oh
know
yeah,
I
oh
know
yeah.
it drives you nuts, but you know, uh,
But it's
I was almost suicidal about my son.
oh god.
He was such a doofus. I just would look at him and just think, God, if I know it would crush you if I told you how disappointed you are, but you're so disappointing. You're such a little piece of shit. You're never going to amount to anything. Just having all these terrible feelings, about my own son,
Well,
and
and I'm
you
sitting
turned out
here.
so well.
You feel like you're under a microscope
Yeah,
when you're
yeah.
doing distance learning, because the teachers are like, okay, well the kids can be left independently with us on the Google meeting,
Mm.
but my kid won't sit still and he'll twirl and jump and
You
talk
twirl and jump. Oh, exactly. It just
and
makes you
and
crazy.
I'm like, I know you guys said he needs to be left independently with you guys. I don't want to undermine you guys, but he's also at home with me, and my instinct is to parent him. And I feel like I'm under a microscope, because if I don't come and parent him, then I'm worried the teachers are going to be like, where is Alex's mother? Why is he always by himself? And then, like, so I'm constantly like, I find myself pacing around the basement,
Yeah.
sticking my head in that room every 30 seconds, which has got to be distracting for him. Like, it's just a fucking and I want and but it's better than nothing. I keep telling myself it's better than
No, of
nothing.
course. Of
It's better
course.
than nothing. But it's so frustrating to have to sit there and go like, why are you purposely making these things hard to understand? And then complaining when the kids aren't getting it.
Yeah.
And like, of course they're not getting it. You're not breaking it down for a 6-year-old brain.
But that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's 6-year-olds are gonna 6-year-old,
Yep.
and you can't make them not be 6-year-olds. And you can say stuff like procedural to them,
Yeah.
and it won't matter. It will never matter.
You may as well be telling them shoop boopy doopy doop doop.
Yeah, or
Like,
flockanockanilipilification.
right, like
Really?
it's
Oh yes. I didn't mean to flockanockanilipilificate your idea. Well, okay. You
like
know,
I know my kid is smart, but it's like, you dude, like, why are you purposely making things hard to understand? Like,
yeah,
there have been times when I've been reading Pink Hollow, the assignments and activities, and I've been using the exact words, and he's like, what? He's like, what the fuck is that? Like, I don't know.
No, I
I don't know
understand.
what the fuck that is.
I understand. I truly do. So anyway, it's yeah. So what do we do about this? What 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 are the things that we can do? What are the things that we can affect basically? I don't know what
It
other word for it.
basically we have to just keep plugging away at the small stuff because it's and people say, well, that's impossible. That's a never-ending battle. Well, you know what? It the best thing for evil is for good men to do nothing.
That's the truth.
So,
That's the
would
truth.
you rather do chip, 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 and eventually work about crumbling the base of whatever you're chipping away at? Or would you rather sit there and let the mountain get bigger?
I feel you. I understand. Uh, it's just how do we chip and chip effectively?
You
You
gotta, you gotta get more
waste a lot
people
of
on
effort.
board. You gotta
Yeah.
get more people on board.
Yep.
You gotta have your own little jackhammer, and then when somebody comes
Yes.
over and goes, "Hey,
Well
Bob,
said.
what you doing?" "Oh, well, Doug." You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Bob and Doug.
Bob and Doug, eh? Beauty, eh?
Well,
Take
Bob,
off.
Doug, what we're doing here is we're chipping away at this dumb mountain of bullshit, eh?
Have
So
you got a pretty good chipping hammer there, Bob, eh?
get your own jackhammer and let's chip away at the bullshit. And then another person comes over. What are you two doing? Oh, we're chipping away at bullshit to make it go away. You want to help?
Hi, Getty. How's it going, eh?
Yeah,
Fine,
pretty much.
boys.
You just gotta, you've gotta recruit more people to chip with you,
Yeah.
and that's basically why I think why a lot of people in the commentary part of YouTube do what they're doing because they're chipping away at bullshit and they're trying to recruit other chippers. That's what I
Nicely
think.
put. I don't think you're wrong. I think you're right. I really do. It's,
Because the
I don't
minute
know. It's
everybody
depressing
shuts
at
up,
times. Yeah.
it is depressing. But the minute everybody that's not shutting up shuts up, that's when the really bad shit happens.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. It's it's heartbreaking to see this happening to the
Hey,
West.
Lindsay's in chat. Hello, Lindsay.
Cynical Lindsay.
And
Someday she'll
here
change her name to Idealistic Lindsay.
I am.
No worries about that. If for any of you who have the pleasure, the real pleasure of knowing Lindsay, she's delightfully cynical, and I don't think will ever change. And I certainly wouldn't want that.
So I've got a video to end off the stream with.
What's up? Okay.
It's by my good good favorite of the show, Pierre Polyev. He's a
Ah,
conservative party member,
yes.
and he has a video called "A Liberal Accidentally Tells the Truth."
Well, let's
So
hear
this will be
this.
good.
All right. Jennifer O'Connell, Pickering, Uxbridge, Ontario.
Yes.
Okay, Jennifer, speak to us, you liberal babe. You
Thank you,
blonde.
Madam Speaker, and I'm glad to be able to have a chance to ask the honourable member a question.
Did AOC invade Canada?
Oh my God! And she's got this tremendous overbite, receding chin, vacant eyes that are way too far apart to indicate even a glimmer of intelligence, a forehead that looks like the plains of Gobi, and blonde hair that is not of a color that occurs naturally.
Thank you,
Nature did
Madam
not do this.
Speaker. I'm so happy I could ask the honorable member a question.
Gag me with a spoon.
Okay, let's carry on. Oops.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'm glad to be able to have a chance to ask the honorable member a question. He speaks about paycheck economy and not a credit card economy, but I'm really curious, and in an earlier speech, he talked about the war on work, but I'm really curious to see how the member opposite is going to contort himself and twist himself into knots when I ask the question about when he was a member of government, they had the lowest unemployment rate since the Great Depression. And what did they have to show for it? $150 billion in debt. And you know what they didn't have? A global pandemic that shot down economies everywhere. So
what the fuck does that even mean?
She's free associating at this point.
Is she complaining that the conservatives had a low unemployment rate?
That's the only way she could diss it.
You had an lowest unemployment rate since the Great Depression, and you still have made a debt.
Yeah, I know. And she's swaying back and forth. She's swaying back and forth as she thinks she's delivering this blistering diatribe, and she doesn't she really truly does not have the self-awareness to realize she looks like a complete idiot. And she really does, all kidding aside. I would say this if she was a conservative.
Madam Speaker, what exactly does this member propose when they added that much debt and had such a terrible unemployment record?
Wait, you just said their unemployment record was the lowest since the Great Depression.
Yeah.
How is that terrible?
It's terrible because she says it is.
Okay.
That's a technique.
Oh, okay. So it's opposite day in the House of Commons. All right. Cool.
Opposite day every day for this broad.
All right.
Member for Carleton.
I think the member accidentally told the truth when she said we had the lowest unemployment since the Great Depression. She was right that we did have the lowest unemployment in the G7. We had the best record going through the Great Global Recession, which is interesting because now we have the second worst, the second highest unemployment in the G7. Only socialist Italy is higher.
He almost said socialist idiot.
Well, he actually did say idiot, and he corrected himself and said socialist Italy. Yeah, I think that was exactly.
Freudian slip.
That was not Freudian. That was totally intentional. The self-satisfied look on his face tells me everything I need to know about that one.
Yeah, Sora caught it too. She's like, idiot, ha 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 ha. Yeah.
Oh, that is funny.
And the Italian socialist policies are the ones that this government is working hardest to emulate. Even France, which used to be socialist and is reversing those policies, has now lowered its unemployment below Canada's. And here in Canada, we see a government shutting down our economy, trying to nationalize economic activity, getting exactly the same kinds of predictable results that those policies always produce. That member should look at the magnificent success and the world-famous actions of the previous Conservative government to get us through that recession. This government could learn a lot from that.
And I didn't like Stephen Harper as a prime minister, but Pierre Poilievre is not wrong about how much he got, or the way that we got through the recession.
No, you're right. I don't disagree. He actually seems like a pretty impressive guy.
Yeah, he's. I wish he was the leader of the party. I really do.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to, sooner or later, Canada has got to throw off Lucky Pierre. You've got to get a better PM. Seriously. I realize this is the guy whose president is Joe Biden. I know. The irony is not lost on me. But Trudeau is he's such a sack of shit. He's just pathetic.
Yeah, Paul Martin was the best prime minister, JP says. finance minister, and he got our debt to zero. Paul Martin was okay. He was very soft-spoken. He didn't do very much other than that. He took over for Jean Chrétien after Jean Chrétien left. And so it went Jean Chrétien, Paul Martin, then Stephen Harper.
Mm.
And
I wanted to point out, Lindsay says, "Oh my God, that was a Chad move from Pierre." Laughed my ass off.
Oh yeah.
You're not wrong, Lindsay.
Oh, Pierre's great.
Yeah.
I wish he was the leader of the opposition, because he's the kind of guy that he doesn't want to be prime minister, and that's the kind of guy you need.
Yeah.
The guy who doesn't want the power but has it thrust upon him. Basically, the guy who's not power hungry.
Yeah. No, they always make the best leaders. They always seem to, anyway. But there you go. Can you believe that
we've hit an hour?
These guys have spent an hour with us on purpose, Blind Press.
They have. And I would like to thank them very much for spending an hour with us.
And me too. And thank you for having me on tonight. It's been fun.
And guys, if you are interested, I have a link in the description of this stream. It is a Linktree link. It will take you to everything, all of the links that I have, instead of putting like 10,000 links in the description. It will take you to everything all in one spot. It will take
Linktree. Look it up, guys. Worth knowing about. Seriously.
It will take you to my Instagram, my Twitter,
thank you, Lindsay.
Patreon, Streamlabs, and the Amazon wish list, because we now have a P.O. box.
Oh, Mr. No showed up. Hi, Mr. No. And I see Costin is here. I think you mentioned that before. JP's here. Yeah, was Sora? Did Sora drop by? Yeah, Sora's here.
Yep.
So, pretty good crowd. Pretty good crowd. Beauty, eh? As Bob and Doug would say.
Well, thank you guys for watching. And if you are not done with watching YouTube, you should head over to Minions of the Zoo and watch them.
Absolutely. It's Sanguine hosting tonight.
Yes.
And I have no idea who his guests are. The Harry Channel is an often featured person there. Probably have Geodes and some of the usual gang over there. But head over to Minions. That's at 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern. Yep. Well, yes, it's 10. Yes, it is right now. I just realized that.
Yep.
And it's just about bedtime time for Skep, because I got to get up. Tomorrow's at 5:00. Wake up.
Oh, fun.
So so it's 7.5 hours from now.
Well, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you to Skep for joining me.
Thank you for having me on.
We will see you Friday night, guys. Have a great night, and see you on Minions tomorrow.
Good night, everybody.